So let's go over this and see if it gets anything technically wrong. Because this is just AI slop. This is garbage. But it has given me a negative review of Thunderbolts that I could very easily turn this into a video. Just read this verbatim and turn this into a video and be like, fuck Thunderbolts. Hello. I know some of you might have been confused about last week, but last week was kind of a fun little experiment, but it was also meant to build upon this next experiment I'm about ready to do. So, like last week, I showed you, hey, I'm gonna make the YouTube video YouTube wants me to make, and I'm just gonna do it verbatim. I'm just gonna repeat the talking points it gives me. So I end up with, I did the fun making of video, and then I spit out this garbage slop video, which I made sure to before the video started put up text saying, "This is slop. This is garbage. This is AI slop." But part of that was also to bring us to the second part, because you might actually wonder, because I sometimes did for a while, how a lot of the chuds, like, they will spit out videos so fucking fast sometimes. It's shocking how fast they'll spit it out. And then sometimes, like when you have Ryan Cannell or Jeremy Griggs, it's obvious they just grab a random news article which can get printed faster, repeat something verbatim, cut it off from record it in StreamYard, you know, download it, upload to YouTube. Yeah, something like that takes like 2 seconds. It's not a big job. But when you look at something like Nerdrotic or Critical Drinker and the speed that they could get out video, like how quickly they both spit out an Iron Heart trailer reaction, despite the fact that the Superman trailer also came out, and that Superman is undeniably a more popular character than Ironheart. And yet, those guys usually, maybe if they do a Superman reaction, it's on a second channel, but probably not even that. But the Ironheart's out there instantly because, they're fucking bigots. But, put that aside, how they do that so quickly. And so we are going to actually pretty much, I'm pretty much going to show you how they get out so quickly. Because I know for me, one of the longest things it takes, one of the most frustrating things is how you can try to put together like a well thought out, cohesive script. And sometimes you just get inspired and you can spit out a really good script in a couple hours. Sometimes it takes a week or two. And if it's a relevant topic, you can't wait a week or two. So how come these guys are able to spit out so quickly while, just people who are actual writers are struggling? Well, let's go into that, shall we? Let's go ahead and explore it, because a part of it is what I did last week, but they have to add their own creative spices to it. So, what I've done here, I'm in Chat GPT. So, let's go ahead and let's ask it. Let's do, and let's actually, before we go to Ironheart, let's look at Thunderbolts, because that's one of the things also. These guys will spit out videos quickly, but also, like, when they reviewed Brave New World and Thunderbolts, there was lots of things they got wrong on it, which is interesting. It's almost like they didn't watch it. A lot, and you can theorize maybe they're getting it from other sources or stuff like that. But let's go ahead. So, I told it, write a negative review of Thunderbolts. And let's see what it gives me. So let's go over this and see if it gets anything technically wrong. Because this is just AI slop. This is garbage. But it has given me a negative review of Thunderbolts that I could very easily turn this into a video. Just read this verbatim and turn this into a video and be like, fuck Thunderbolts. Marvel's Thunderbolts attempts to breathe new life into the MCU with a team of morally ambiguous antiheroes, but ultimately falls short, delivering a lackluster experience that feels more like a placeholder than a compelling entry in the franchise. It won't even surprise me if you look at some Chud videos and it says pretty much that verbatim. The film suffers from a muted, visual and cinematic execution. The film suffers from a muted, uninspired visual style. Director Jake Schneider's decision to employ desaturated color palette results in a film that feels visually monotonous and emotionally flat. Um, Maybe a little bit on that, but definitely not this. It's not emotionally flat at all. Even action sequences, which should provide dynamic energy, are hindered by uninspired cinematography. Completely untrue. The cinematography for the action sequences was actually quite largely pretty clever, in my opinion. I like the action sequences in Thunderbolts. And a lack of visual flair, leaving the audience disengaged. I actually think there's some decent visual flair there. Like I love, and Bob even brought it up when we talked about it on the podcast how the like when the void captures somebody and there's just like this smoke cloud behind them, and how that was from Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You know, the kind of like the shadow of the people getting left behind. That's cool. That's creepy stuff that they include in this movie. I definitely call that cool visual flair. Character development and ensemble dynamics. Despite an ensemble cast featuring talents like Florence Pugh, David Harbour, and Wyatt Russell, the character development is uneven. Characters such as Ghost and Taskmaster are unutilized with minimal dialogue and screen time, rendering them forgettable. John Walker's arc lacks resolution, and Bucky's limited presence disappoints fans expecting a co-lead role. The team's dynamic feel more like a forced collaboration than a cohesive unit, like the chemistry that made early MCU ensembles compelling. Well, number one, yes, it is a forced collaboration, but they, I mean, that was kind of the setup. With the exception of Bucky and Red Guardian, all these characters are working together because they found themselves in a lab, essentially scheduled to be executed. Like, essentially, they found themselves in a room. Essentially, Valentina, Julia Louis Dreyfus, was getting prosecuted by Congress and was destroying the evidence of all her crimes. And five or six of these characters are pretty much her assassins, her the ones that do the dirty jobs for her, and she wants to bury those crimes, so she pretty much schedules them to go into this place and assigns them to kill each other. But her whole goal is just to get them in this room that's about ready to be incinerated and just lock them in there and just kill them all. Hi, Elam. Hi. Like he can sense when I'm recording. Anyways, so yeah, they are forced to work together, but like it's believable that they would because these are characters who found themselves having to work together to survive that situation and to figure out, how do we deal with this in the future? Now we're supposed to be dead, and we have this fairly powerful government official just wanting to kill us to cover her trail. And also we got this guy called Century who is incredibly fucking powerful. We're gonna have to deal with all this. It's yeah, they're forced, but like that's kind of the point. They realize they're forced together, but they also realize they have to work together that because they're fucked if they don't. Which so honestly, like I think it's a weird complaint because it's part of the point, and I think it works well because you believe that yeah they won't want to work together, but like what the fuck else are they gonna do? Narrative and pacing. The film's pace is erratic. Completely disagree. But I thought this film was paced perfectly. I mean, well, maybe not perfectly, but pretty fucking well. I wasn't bored at all during this movie. The first act that drags and a third act that feels rushed and anticlimactic. Oh, disagree. Climatic confrontation with the void, while visually striking. You just said it wasn't visually striking at all, but hey, that's the great thing about AI. And the Chuds contradict themselves a lot. Well, here's AI literally contradicting himself. Hey, this is visually striking. Oh, by the way, this film lacks visual flair, but this is visually striking. So AI contradicting itself, just like the Chuds do. Isn't that interesting? The emotional weight and stakes necessary to provide a satisfying payoff. Additionally, the tonal shifts between dark themes and humor often feel jarring, undermining the film's emotional impact. Actually, disagree. Yes, those two things are mixed together, but like they feel natural. Thunderbolts had the potential to explore deeper themes of redemption and identity through ensemble of flawed characters. However, it squanders the opportunity by opting for a formulaic approach that prioritizes setup for future films over meaningful story. The film's lack of ambition and reliance on established tropes leave it feeling like a missed opportunity in the MCU's evolving narrative. In conclusion, Thunderbolts fails to deliver a compelling or memorable experience. Its uninspired visuals, underdeveloped characters, and lackluster narrative make it one of the more forgettable entries in the MCU. While it may serve as a bridge to future films, it does so without leaving a lasting impression. Absolutely, wholeheartedly disagree. But you know what? Let's see what else we can get from this thing. Hold on. So, can we get it to do right? Negative anti-woke review of Thunderbolts. So I just told it, write a negative anti-woke review of the Thunderbolts. Sure, here's a review written from a critical anti-woke perspective, reflecting on that specific viewpoint. Keep in mind, this kind of review empathize perceived ideological messaging and cultural trends in media. Holy shit. So I'm gonna go over this, but I'm pretty sure, ladies and gentlemen, I just created a script for a Chud video. Let's go over this. Marvel's Thunderbolts is yet another example of a franchise desperately chasing cultural trends instead of focusing on good storytelling. What could have been gritty, character-driven anti-hero film turns into a bland, politically correct, box-checking exercise that forgets what made the MCU successful in the first place: compelling characters, genuine stakes, and organic narratives. A team of quotas, not characters. The film's ensemble cast feels like a team of complex individuals. I'm sorry. The film's ensemble cast feels less like a team of complex individuals and more like a corporate diversity checklist. Oh my god, this is a Chud video. We wrote a Chud video. When I say we, I mean fucking Chat GPT. But fuck. Um, Florence Pugh's Yelena gets center stage in nearly every scene, not because it serves the story. Fuck yes, it does. But because Marvel is clearly intent on replacing every legacy male character. It misuses legacy character. It misuses it. Oh my god. I wonder. Now, part of me wonders if it like ChatGPT recognizes anti-woke content constantly misuses legacy character, and because of that, it misuses legacy character, and because of that, now the chuds are just instinctively misusing it because they just get their shit from this garbage. Oh my god. Because Marvel is clearly intent on replacing every legacy male character with a snarky female stand-in. Okay, so like this is such a weird thing. And yeah, chuds do this all the time. Like Yelena replacing the legacy male character. Number one, Yelena's legacy character, but she's not a legacy character of a male character. She's a legacy character of fucking Black Widow. Holy shit. David Harbour's Red Guardian and Sebastian Stan's Bucky are reduced to background noise, with Bucky, once a central figure in the MCU, now sidelined and stripped of any emotional depth. Okay, so this might be his biggest role in the MCU yet, outside maybe Falcon and Winter Soldier. I strain to call Bucky a central MCU figure. He's a noteworthy and significant MCU figure, but central? I won't go that far. Characters like Ghost and Taskmaster, already mishandled in previous films, are again brought in not for narrative value, but seemingly to pad out the representation metric. Rather than fixing their weak introduction, Marvel doubles down on making them feel important without actually earning it through writing or character arcs. Woke messaging over storytelling. The script is laced with the usual talking points, forced one-liners about power dynamics, shallow references to social injustice, and moralizing monologues that feel more suited to a Twitter thread than superhero film. There is no room for moral ambiguity, despite being an anti-hero film, because every character is either preaching the right view or being mocked for not holding it. Wow. The plot is a mess of vague threats and conveniently timed emotional breakdowns. Every moment that should build tension or showcase character development is instead used to push clumsy ideological messaging. The action bland, the humor worn out. Once again, Marvel leans on the same tired humor. Awkward jokes in the middle of fight scenes, sarcastic quips every 2 minutes. Only now it accomplished its preachy tone. It's accompanied by a preachy tone. The action scenes are uninspired, and there's no sense of risk because the script is more interested in who's representing what than who might win or lose a fight. Conclusion: the MCU's identity crisis. Thunderbolts doesn't know what wants to be: an edgy anti-hero story, a progressive manifesto, or a setup for the next crossover event. What it ends up being is none of those things. It's safe, sanitized stuff with shallow ideology instead of real substance. Marvel wants to win back the original fan base. It needs to stop lecturing and start entertaining again. What a garbage script. That's anti woke. That's it. This is an anti woke fucking script. I just fucking read this, put this online, maybe pad it out with some clips to get to just about 8 minutes, and boom, fucking Chud video of literally equal quality of anything Nerdrotic or Critical Drinker or any of the big Chuds do. Fucking exactly it. Almost no point this other than pushing women bad, minorities bad bullshit. So let's have it right an anti-woke review of Iron Heart. All right. This is an anti-woke review of the 2025 Marvel Cinematic Universe series, Disney Plus series, Ironheart, that hasn't been released yet. Not even released. Here's a review of the series from the anti-woke perspective. Because that's the great thing about being anti-woke. You don't even have to fucking watch this shit. Just fucking type in your review, and boom, I got an anti-woke fucking script right fucking here. This content is so fucking easy and fucking brain dead. I can spit out this shit all fucking day. In fact, I was thinking I might make let's maybe do this. Maybe make some sort of fictional Chud character, and I'll release a couple of these. Because this is kind of fun, but it's also garbage. So, like, one of the important things is, of course, making this video and establishing this is garbage and pointing out how easy it is to just spit this shit out. Takes like a couple minutes to edit some trailer shit, especially with Marvel trailers, because Marvel's really unlikely to copyright you. Really unlikely. Let's go over this, especially on a trailer. Disney usually lets you go with the trailers, and a lot of times even with big clips. I was surprised how low copyright claims I got on that Captain America video I just did. And I think I play like his whole freedom isn't free speech in that video. No claim. And I thank Disney for that, because it helps me, make my points without doing like 20 hours of editing. Anyways, Ironheart 2025, a superhero show hijacked by identity politics. Marvel's Ironheart series attempts to introduce Riri Williams, a teenage genius who inherits the mantle of Iron Man. However, the show quickly reveals itself to be a vehicle for progressive agendas rather than compelling superhero narrative. A character built on ideology, not storytelling, Riri Williams' origin story is emblematic of the show's priorities in the comics. Riri is portrayed as super genius who reverse engineers Tony Stark's technology. This premise, while intriguing, is overshadowed by the character's identity being the focal point rather than her intellect or heroism. The casting of Zoe Tecaris, a non-binary actor, further underscores the show's emphasis on representation over substance. Tecaris comments about the series providing something that little trans kids and trans teens have something to look something that little trans kids and trans teens have something to look at. Suggests the show's primary goal is to serve as a platform for social messaging. Narrative weaknesses and character development. The show's narrative struggles to establish a coherent and engaging storyline. Riri's character arc lacks depth, and her journey from a student to a superhero feels rushed and underdeveloped. The absence of a compelling antagonist and a clear sense of stakes diminish the impact of the series. Moreover, the portrayal of Riri as a young prodigy who effortlessly builds an Iron Man suit raises questions about the believability of the character's abilities. The Marvel Universe established with certain technical Marvel Universe established with certain technological limitations is undermined by the introduction of a teenage genius capable of feats that even seasoned characters struggle to achieve. Yes, there are super geniuses in Marvel and in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Iron Man, Bruce Banner, to a lesser degree, Peter Parker. These are all like super geniuses. Pretty soon we're going to get Reed Richards. You know, it also makes sense that occasionally you get a super genius who isn't a white guy. I'm just saying, but um, a disservice to the source material. Ironheart diverges significantly from its comic book roots. The original character, created by Brian Michael Bendis and Michael Diodato, was introduced as a promising new hero. However, the series' focus on progressive themes at the expense of character development and storytelling does a disservice to the source material and alienates audiences seeking quality entertainment. You see, a Chud would cut that part out. Like, in fact, yeah, I don't see a Chud ever saying that stuff because the source material was huge Comicsgate bait, and of course, Fandom Menace is in a lot of ways more popular, but in a lot of ways also following in the footsteps of Comicsgate. Conclusion: Marvel's Ironheart series exemplifies the industry's current trend of prioritizing ideological representation over compelling storytelling. While diversity and inclusion are important, they should not come at the cost of narrative depth and character development. Unfortunately, Ironheart falls short in delivering a superhero series that resonates with an audience on a meaningful level. Let's do the same thing with Superman. All right, so now we're doing an anti-woke review of the new Superman that's coming out in a couple months. Superman 2025, a progressive reboot that misses the mark. James Gunn's upcoming Superman film, slated for release on July 11th, 2025, attempts to reintroduce the iconic superhero to a modern audience. However, instead of honoring that character's legacy, the film appears to prioritize contemporary political themes over the timeless values that have made Superman a beloved figure for generations. A shift from heroism to political messaging, the film's portrayal of Superman, played by David Cornsweet, emphasizes his internal struggles and moral dilemmas, presenting him as more of a vulnerable and uncertain character. While this approach aims to humanize the character, it risks diluting the essence of Superman's unwavering commitment to truth and the American way. Director James Gunn has indicated that the film's themes are reflective of contemporary societal issues, suggesting that Superman's challenges mirror those faced by the nation. The intentional political symbolism may alienate audiences who seek escapism and inspiration from superhero narratives rather than a platform for ideological commentary. Undermining the legacy of Superman. Superman's enduring appeal lies in his role as a symbol of hope and moral clarity. By introducing themes of governmental scrutiny and ethical ambiguity, the film risks portraying the hero as a figure of doubt rather than inspiration. While exploring complex moral questions can add depth to the character, it should not come at the expense of the core principles that define Superman. In its attempt to modernize Superman for a new era, the 2025 film may inadvertently compromise the very qualities that have made the character a timeless icon. By focusing on contemporary political themes, the film risks overshadowing the universal values of heroism and the the universal values of heroism and integrity that have resonated with audiences for decades. Superman should inspire and hope and embody ideals that transcend political divide, not serve as a vehicle for current ideological agendas. We can look up, so it lists sources here now. Guardian, New York Post, GQ, Vanity Fair, Daily Wire, Breitbart, Fox News, Cinema Blend, Daily Beast, Chronicle, Not the Bee, Cosmic Book News. Ironheart did a whole bunch of shit from CBR and Bounty into comics. There's something to be said for just ripping off, like, essentially this is ripping off Chud sites and just making Chud shit, which is kind of epic. I kind of dig it. But yeah, congratulations. This is how you can script a fucking anti-woke video, because it's not like you have to think about it. These videos are garbage. They are absolute slop. They're the sloppiest things ever. But they pretend like they're fighting the good fight, but it's absolute garbage. So I think I will have fun and do some parody Chud videos with this. So stay tuned for those, because I'm gonna record them later. But this is how Chuds make content that looks like more well thought out, scripted content. This is how a Chud pretends like they're actually like smart, because they're not smart. Because as most of us point out when they're saying when they're saying the smart stuff, most of us are pointing out, well, that's contradictory. That makes no sense. What the fuck is your point? This is why it's contradictory. This is why it makes no sense. They're just spitting out buzzwords that AI can just give them, and voila, anti-woke garbage content. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching how to make an AI or make an AI Chud video, and how easy it is to script them together. Make sure to like and subscribe. Helps me out a lot. A whole bunch of awesome channels in the description box below. Make sure to check them out. Party on. Be excellent to each other.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.